I've been sent here to give y'all my truth, even at the risk of my own life, even at the risk of my own success, my own career. I've been sent here to give y'all the truth.
Special group of drugs, the hallucinogens.
I don't usually see something that's an actual real thing that I could describe.
You know why? Because y'all been lied to.
Sometimes, one time I saw a lot of faces. Just all these faces appeared in front of me.
Hey guys, welcome back to another conspiracy video. I'm so sorry I hadn't uploaded one of these. I totally saw all of your requests for another conspiracy video, so I finally got around to doing it. And I was going to say that if you are easily triggered or paranoid by things, I would genuinely suggest skipping today's video. I have other conspiracy theories on my channel and other lifestyle videos that you could totally check out. Today we're going to be talking about Kanye West, MK Ultra, which were real experiments done on humans by the CIA that are honestly terrifying. We're going to be talking about the government and how they control absolutely everything in our lives at the end of the day. We're going to be talking about the coronavirus, so a little bit of everything here and there. So if you're interested in any of those topics and you want to see how I got this makeup look, then just keep on watching. Before we begin today's video, I want you to know that this hairstyle, there are two braids, you can't even really see them great, took me like an hour because I don't like when the lines look messy or they're not like straight unless I'm just going to like the grocery store. It took me forever, so you better like it. Anyways, today's video is kind of like, it makes me want to throw up, but it's also very interesting. Let's just jump right in so that I can just let me begin by talking about how I got to researching all of this stuff. So with everything going on with like the coronavirus, right, it really got me thinking, where does our water supply come from? Where does our electricity come from? And at the end of the day, if all of this was taken away from us, just like not even because of the coronavirus, but in general, if the city just decided like, hey, we're gonna shut off the water, hey, we're gonna stop giving electricity, no more Wi-Fi, no more internet, none of that, we would literally be helpless. And that sounds like such an insult to humanity, not helpless in the sense of like we wouldn't be able to survive, because I'm sure that we would find a way. Just in the sense that we really don't have as much control over our everyday lives as you would think we do. If they stop bringing gas, you know, from other places and we can't put gas in our cars, and even if you have like, for example, a Tesla, if they shut off like electricity, you wouldn't be able to charge your car. So where am I going with all of this? Well, the thing that just kind of like spooked me, you know what I'm saying, is the fact that we really have so much less control than we actually think. You would think that because, well, I'm sure that I have viewers from other places besides America, but in America, you know, everyone thinks that everything's perfect and that it's like the land of freedom and dreams come true and all that, you know. But at the end of the day, we really don't have as much control as we think, you know. And I started doing research on like population control because I feel like the place that is worldwide recognized for attempting to control the population has been China, because, you know, they limit, I'm not even sure, to be honest, if they still do that, but where they would limit, you can only have 2 children. That was obviously in efforts to control the population, you know, stop the overpopulation, all that kind of stuff. I read a fact somewhere that the earth is made, or the size of the earth, it would be able to handle up to 10 billion people. Right now we're like 8 billion, so I don't really know. I guess it's in certain areas of the world, like for example, like New York is extremely overpopulated. I feel like there's so many people there. I think you know where I'm going with this. Overpopulation and the government wanting to control that, right? Let me also state that nothing in this video is a fact. They are all just theories. This is all for entertainment. It is not meant to make anyone or any governments look bad. We love our government, right? So I started just kind of like going back in time, right? So there's always something going on. And look, this is gonna sound far-fetched. Once I finish saying all of this stuff, then I'll explain kind of why it's far-fetched. But for example, something that's very known that I'm pretty sure everyone has heard of was the Tide Pod challenge, where people would literally consume Tide Pods. Okay, so I looked it up and I couldn't get an exact number, but between 7,000 to 10,000, it said just children. Hopefully no adults died from this. I would think that no adults would be that unreasonable. Thousands of kids just in America died from this. They died from this Tide Pod challenge. You know, it was meant to be a fun thing. Just, I don't know. Even me, like, I was younger, you know, when that challenge was going on, and I literally thought, like, who would actually do this? Okay, so now for like a more, I guess, like, juicy theory is like, okay, I do not want to kind of be desensitizing the topic of coronavirus. It's something extremely serious. You should definitely be staying home, social distancing, take precautions, wash your hands, but it wouldn't be a conspiracy theory video if we didn't throw some theories out there. Again, these are theories and not facts. Essentially, according to everyone, the coronavirus started in China, right? Well, I mean, recently there's been claims that it actually started here in America. I don't know what evidence behind that is, but the point is that it started spreading a lot in China, right? So I don't know, here's kind of like what I'm thinking. So let's just say that in an alternate universe, China is like, hey, our population control kind of isn't working. We're still overpopulated, and you know, we need to do something about it. So let's just say, right, maybe like a scientist or a doctor, not necessarily made the coronavirus, but they realized the potential of what this virus could do, meaning that it would target a lot of people, like no matter like what age, you could still get it, you know. Obviously it's more dangerous for older people or people who already have like underlying illnesses. I would like to say I'm sorry if you see like little fuzzies flying around. It's the powder. I can't help it from like spreading when I tap it on. Imagine this. There is some person working for the government that is like, hey, overpopulation is a big problem and we're not really doing anything about it. So he hears about this coronavirus, right? He hears this doctor kind of talking about it, and what is a fact is that the doctor who discovered the coronavirus was silenced. They didn't want him to spread it. They didn't want him talking about it. They just kind of like shoved him in a closet and were like, don't be spooking people, right? And so I don't know, I just find that suspicious. Like, why, if something was such a threat to your people, like the people that you govern, why would you silence it? Why would you try to make it just like be like something that doesn't matter? You know what I'm saying? So like I said, going back to my theory, I literally look insane, but trust the process, sweetie. Let's call him Derek. So let's say Derek is working for the Chinese government. He hears this doctor being like, yo, this virus could kill thousands and thousands or even hundreds of thousands of people. Y'all need to get on it. We need to start making a vaccine. We need to start taking precautions. So Derek is like, you know what? Instead of doing that, let's just kind of let it be a thing, because we do have issues with the population. So if we just kind of let it spread, it'll control the people will die. You know, people die. People will probably put having children on hold once it starts spreading. And he's like, and that'll give us a little chance, like catch our breath and reduce the population, right? But what Derek doesn't know is that it's gonna turn into a pandemic, and that it's gonna leave China, and that it is extremely easy to pass it on to other people. He didn't realize the potential of this virus, right? So Derek over here was like, you know what, we're gonna let a couple people get sick, you know, pass on, and then we're gonna have it all under control. It's gonna be just fine. We're gonna be like, oh, we had no idea it was that bad, you know? And then it got out of control, spread everywhere, and now we're here in this pandemic because it was an effort to control the population, and it didn't work because it started spreading everywhere. And am I the only one who thinks it's a little sus that, according to them, someone got it from eating a bat? I have not found sustainable like evidence on this. Like, I don't think there's a way to possibly actually pinpoint that though. Like to be like, oh yeah, homeboy Joe ate a bat, he had a bat soup, and that bat had it, and then he got it and started spreading it, right? Like, I'm like, how do you pinpoint that? You know what, if you're a scientist and you're watching this video, why would a scientist watch my videos? But you know what, if you are, and I just insulted you, I'm sorry. I just don't know how accurate this kind of stuff can be. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is, like, it would be so easy to say that. It would be so easy because even before this whole coronavirus thing, what was China known for? I'm so sorry to China. I love you. I actually want to go there. I probably won't be able to go there now because they're probably gonna watch my video and be like, yeah, you're not welcome here, sweetie. What was China known for? What were all the memes about? What were all the people saying about China? They eat animals. And I mean, they eat animals here in America too. But what I'm saying is, like, they eat cats and dogs and snakes and apparently bats. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, it would just be so easy to be like, oh yeah, the virus started because a Chinese man or woman ate a bat. When I first heard that, I honestly didn't believe it. Like, I still don't know if I really do, just because I don't understand how they could pinpoint something like that. By the way, speaking of how people in China eat like strange animals, there are some interesting mukbangers who eat like stingrays and live octopus and just really inappropriate looking sea creatures. If you have been on TikTok or on YouTube for the last 2 months, you probably know what I'm talking about. I don't even know if those mukbangers are from China. They could be from any other place of the world, but I don't know. Any place in the world where people eat live animals or just like, I don't know. I'm vegetarian. I believe that no animal should be eaten, period. But I mean, like, different parts of the world have different beliefs, you know? I can respect that. Let me just contour that double chin because a girl's been quarantined for a couple weeks now and she's been binge eating pan dulce. Like I was saying before we started talking about the actual like coronavirus, is I really started thinking about how we really don't have control over a lot of things, right? Which is obvious. But when you think about like water and your supply of energy, things that you depend on every single day, it's actually crazy to think about. Like, what if those resources were just cut off suddenly, you know, for whatever reason? This led me to start deep diving into research on, like, for example, our water supply here in America. And I started reading about how they started finding these big amounts of fluorine in our water supply system, like from tap water and that kind of stuff. And fluorine, if you don't know what that is, it's a, I want to say chemical liquid substance that helps prevent cavities, right? And the thing about it is, it doesn't taste like anything. It doesn't change the color of the water, the feel, anything. Like, there's no way just by human instinct to detect fluoride or fluorine. I think I'm saying it wrong. It's fluoride. Just Google it if you're curious. But it has been found in the water. Initially, you would think like, oh, like the government cares about me not getting cavities. They don't want me to get cavities, so they're putting fluoride in my water. BS. Ain't no government giving a S about yo cavities, girl. If anything, they want you to get cavities so that you'll go and spend money at the dentist. Okay, I think I'm going too far with this. I'm sorry. What else is in our water? What else is in our water? What is in my air? Because I have been seeing a lot of planes flying above my city, and I'm like, what is you doing? I know you don't have people in those big gray planes. They look like military planes. Don't tell me that you're training people how to fly above my house. This is why I can't deep dive into conspiracy theories, because my brain just like goes on this like rampage of like this and that and what if this and what if. I'm actually gonna put a little more powder underneath my eyes because I'm using a lot of color today and I just don't want that fallout to stick. There we go. And we're done. That's today's look. Side note, today I'm going to be using the Mini Breaker and the Blue Blood palette. I'm using shades in both of them. Do you guys remember when like anti-vaccination was a trend? Like, there was so many people talking about how it led to autism and it was just so bad to vaccinate your kids. All this stuff that was based off of literal lies. I don't know if you guys follow Dr. Leslie on TikTok, but she completely debunked the whole anti-vax. She didn't debunk it personally. Like, she talked about how it was debunked and talked about the research and everything like that. But my point is, that used to be like a huge trend where a bunch of people actually believed that vaccinating your children would cause autism, and they started making up all these links that didn't even exist. Ironically, isn't that what conspiracy theories are? Like making up links that could possibly not even be real, probably aren't. Imagine, you know, like if it was, we were living, like I said, in a world where overpopulation was such a big issue that the government was trying to do something about it, even behind our backs, or especially behind our backs. I don't think they would just tell us like, yes, it looks like there's a lot of us, so we've decided that we're just gonna kill off like half of the people here. That was my Trump imitation. If it was good, let me know. Anti-vax was such a perfect opportunity to have weak children because, you know, yes, of course, our human capability is grand, but we definitely need some vaccinations. You know, there's ones out there that are vitally important to not getting certain illnesses. When anti-vaxxing was trending, if the government was trying to control the population, they were probably like, yeah, just let them talk, let them spread it for a couple years. It's gonna help us in the long run anyways, because a lot of these kids probably won't live to be 50. Yo, Jeffrey has some pigment, like this is coming through. When I was doing this research on like all of this stuff, I started to read about crisis actors. I had never even heard of this, and even less, I would have thought that it was a real thing. If you don't believe me, Google crisis actors. They're not just, like, just from hearing that word, you would think that they're like people who act in movies, like when a tragedy happens in a movie. But these are people who are used in real life during like a time of crisis, where they will just come up with like fake stories and interview them on the news. It's insane. Like, I already question everything, so reading that kind of stuff isn't good for me because now I really don't trust anything. I want to do like a whole other conspiracy video where I talk more in depth about crisis actors, because there's literally videos of the same crisis actor in different tragedies, like in different parts of the United States, talking about how like they saw everything and they're so upset and they're so scared, and this person on the news is just interviewing them and they're just like, yeah, I was there, it was horrible, I just don't know what to really say. And then years later, they're at a completely different crisis and they're saying the exact same thing over again. There was even an accusation of, do you guys remember when the Sandy Hook shooting happened at the elementary school? And so I'm not going to deep dive too far into it just because I don't want to touch on such a sensitive topic, and you know, at the end of the day, I didn't do enough research to confirm this, but there are people who believe that there was this couple, right, and that they were crisis actors because the last names they used, or even their first names, were not listed on any of the parents, like the actual legal documents where it states what children were lost or affected, and it also shows their parents. And these people that were interviewed, they're nowhere to be found on that list, and they're seen in a different state claiming to have been in another crisis. I don't know if it was a couple months or a year or two prior, so it's just odd, you know? Putting aside like the Sandy Hook thing, or even if they are crisis actors, more than anything, this is just such a clear indication that you really can't believe anything, which obviously we already knew that, but it's just proof, you know? It's more proof that a lot of the stuff that you see out there is just lies. It's even so bad that there are crisis actor hunters out there. Literal people who dedicate their lives to going and hunting down crisis actors that are on real live TV claiming to have gone through something or claiming all this crazy stuff when it comes to the crisis. There's people who hunt those people down just to expose them. So now we're gonna start talking about MK Ultra and how at the beginning of this video I showed like a clip of Kanye and then a clip of a woman talking. It all kind of sums down to MK Ultra, and when I was reading this stuff, it was terrifying to me because it's real stuff. It's stuff that really happened. It's not like I was reading about a conspiracy theory. I was reading about true events that happened here in America in the 1950s. So I'm going to kind of put it into my own words, like what I understood was the purpose of the project. MKUltra was a top secret project that was done by the CIA here in America. And at the end of the day, their ultimate goal was mind control. And not only mind control, but they were trying to use people and then make them forget about it. It sounds like something out of a horror film, but it's true. It really did. That's what their goal was. MKUltra lasted from 1953 to 1973. There was over 150 human experiments, as we know of. How do you get people to volunteer to do this kind of project or testing on humans? Well, they kind of didn't. They kind of got people from prisons, or I'm not exactly sure if every single person that they experimented on gave consent. I find it hard to believe that they did, because I mean, who's gonna consent to being tortured? But there was a couple of military personnel who actually did volunteer to be tested on and all that kind of stuff. But the thing is, the CIA claimed that what they were testing was a cure for the common cold. I don't understand how that's legal to like lie like that. I don't know. I don't want to say anymore because I don't want the CIA coming to my door being like, hey, you better stop. I feel like I need a darker shade of blue, like on the outside. Obviously, a lot of stuff was recorded, you know, when projects and like experiments are going on, they have to write down everything. I'm sure that not all of it is open to the public. After testing on a couple of men who volunteered, they changed what their purpose was. So it was no longer just trying to find a cure for the common cold. Let me read to you exactly what the documentation says. The new goal is to become subservient to an imposed control to the point where he will perform acts against his will and then have no memory of the act. You can literally find this on Google, Wikipedia, like just search for the legal documents and you'll be able to read off of when they changed the purpose of the experiments. Honestly, when I read that, I just paused for a second and like took a deep breath, because I didn't want my mind to start imagining the type of experiments that they had to do in order to achieve something like that. That's kind of why I say that I believe that there was more than 150 human experiments, because especially in the 1950s, I mean, to be able to test on so many people and see the outcome and see what worked and what didn't, I just feel like it would take a lot more than that. MKUltra is just like a huge thing, you know, and there's a lot of things that they tested, one of them being LSD, right? And like other types of cocktails of drugs. That's what they call them, like cocktails of drugs, when they literally just kind of like mix stuff together, put it into the human body and be like, well, he could die or we could mind control him. I feel like I need to put like green in here. I don't know. I don't think I have any green shades. Jeffrey coming through with the alien palette. I think there's green. Yes. Jeffrey, put me on your PR list. I love you. Let's see, I don't know if, oh yeah, that would be nice. Wait, Roy G. Biv. Oh, okay, yeah. I just wanted to make sure that green comes before glue. Glue? Blue? Back to what we were talking about. So when it comes to MKUltra, a lot of people nowadays think that they obviously did figure out a lot of stuff and that it's being used to attack celebrities that are going through it, which is kind of how we're going to jump into the next thing, which is like Kanye West. But before that, I just want to give a couple of details of how severe this testing was. So they had two goals. One, how to induce insomnia, and two, how to produce new behavior. And underlying all that kind of stuff is also like how to break past habits, how to stop doing things or saying things that they once were doing or saying. So basically, like I said, they would give this person a bunch of drugs and then they would just kind of knock them out for 30 days. They would have them asleep for 30 days. And during this time, no, actually, before they would knock them out, they would have them listen to audio tapes to try to rewire their brain for weeks on end without stop. Like, imagine, if anything, you would think that would make you go more insane, listening to the exact same words or sentences over and over and over and over for weeks. Also, if the patient did not, like they just weren't budging, they were still doing or saying certain things, they would use electroshock therapy to try to get them to like break that cycle, which is terrifying to think about. After they did the electroshock therapy and all of the tape re-listening, kind of like trying to readjust their brain, there's a term for it, but I just can't remember it right now. It's like on the tip of my tongue. In order to make them forget all of the experiences that they just had to endure, which to me is honestly a form of torture, they would put them to sleep. Like, they would have them sedated for about 30 days. And they believe that this is what caused the insomnia, to where they wouldn't remember all of that stuff that they had to go through. This is something that I have talked about to my sister before. Like, I tell her, imagine how many failed attempts they had to receive until they actually like learned like, oh, this is what we have to do. So just imagine the first time, for example, someone was given electroshock therapy, how many people had to die, because that's not normal. Like, I don't understand how that was ever considered humane. Just different times, I guess. Any experiments in general, you're gonna have a couple deaths or severe reactions before you get to the ultimate result and the correct result. Okay, so I went ahead and cut my crease off camera because I felt like I couldn't get the lines exact if I was gonna be talking. Same thing with eyeliner. But yeah, so we were talking about MK Ultra, all that kind of stuff, and all the horrible experiments that were made on people. So that leads us to talk about Kanye West. If you don't know, a couple years ago, Kanye West went through, I don't want to say like a mental breakdown. I don't know if that's honestly the appropriate term to use. He was going through stuff, and he had a tour going on, right? And so towards the end of this tour, or the middle, I can't really remember, he started acting a little strange. Like, he was going on these rants, and I will play a few clips right now of what he was saying just so you can understand what I'm talking about.
Y'all don't want to lose again. A lot of people here tonight felt like they lost. You know why? Because y'all been lied to. Google lied to you. Facebook lied to you. Radio lied to you. We got 100 years out here, 100 years on this planet, bro, and we can have a utopia. We can love each other, but the rules gotta be fair. I know it's gonna be a lot of conversations after the night. Khaled, I love you. I know you got killers in Miami. Please do not send them at my head. I just want to have a conversation about how we playing radio. I'm gonna keep it real with you. Beyonce, I was hurt. I went down 7 years on behalf. I am putting my career, my life, my public well-standing at risk when I talk to y'all like this. This is a moment in the matrix, bro. The vibes is back. I've been sent here to give y'all my truth, even at the risk of my own life, even at the risk of my own success, my own career. I've been sent here to give y'all the truth. Jay-Z, call me, bro. You still ain't called me. Jay-Z, call me. Hey, bro, Jay-Z, I know you got killers. Please don't send them at my head. Just call me. Talk to me like a man. I'm not trying to be the man. I just am a man. The same as everybody here. I ain't above, below, none of y'all. We all equal. We all equal.
He is talking about how everything is manipulated by the radio or the internet, you know. He's just, you kind of get his message where he's talking about how there's people out there who deserve more recognition and they're not getting it. I've seen the actual whole clip and it's like 13 minutes of him just going off, but I just kind of summed up the points that I thought were actually kind of interesting. he goes on to publicly call out Beyonce and Jay-Z, right? And he also gets politics involved. He starts talking about how he didn't vote, but that if he did, he would have voted for Trump. A lot of people did not like this. He's hurt by Beyonce. I think I put a clip in there where he's talking about Beyonce. He feels hurt. All of the stuff that he's saying seems very like personal, like he's venting. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen those TikToks where it's like someone will be like, I feel like I'm intruding, or I feel like I'm walking in on something. That's honestly how I felt when I was listening to him say all of these things. By the way, I'm going to be doing some purple eyeliner with Jeffree Star's Velour Liquid Lip in the shade Blow Pony. He's really just venting and also kind of opening up to the people, like he's trying to tell them the truth. As you may or may not know, after these series of little kind of like meltdowns I guess he was checked into a hospital for a psychiatric evaluation, and guess where he was checked in? Not specifically like where, but what happened there. There's a plane. Wait. It is the same hospital where the MK Ultra experiments took place. Let me do my eyeliner off camera. Like I always say, I can't do eyeliner and talk at the same time. I will be right back. Okay, so I have done my eyeliner. It is purple. I feel like it's not showing up as much as I would want it to on camera, but it's definitely there. So like I was saying, he was checked in for a psychiatric evaluation at the same hospital where a lot of the MK Ultra experiments happened. Of course, this led to a lot of people speculating as to what they did to him in there, what the evaluation might have been, all that kind of stuff, because once he got out, he was back to normal or even more peaceful. He did an interview with Charlemagne. It's like an hour long. If you guys want to check it out, literally just Google Charlemagne Kanye West interview. They just kind of break down everything that he was trying to rant about, but there's a couple things they don't talk about. So one of the theories is that, okay, like for example, Jay-Z and Beyonce, he kind of not exposed them, but he very publicly was talking about them, right? A lot of people think that Beyonce and Jay-Z are like the leaders of the Illuminati. They were probably like, hey, this man is kind of losing it right now. He's not doing good and he's already bringing up our names. So if we don't stop him now, God knows what else he's gonna say. He talks about how Google lied, Facebook lied. He's just kind of calling everyone out. A lot of people think that someone, you know, that's up there, that's in control, was like, hey, shut this man down, put him in the psych ward for a bit, we'll fix him up, and then we'll let him go. Isn't it crazy what a difference like lashes make? I still need to put on bottom mascara, also under my lashes, to kind of like glue them together in a way. Not glue them together, I meant like bond the fake lashes with my natural lashes. Overall, kind of going back to what we were talking to, so here's my thinking behind all of this, right? It's like, do you really think that the CIA took 20 years of experiments on humans, studying, trying to do mind control, whatever, right, to just never use it? Does that sound logical? No. I'm sure that they're using it one way or another. People believe that Britney Spears, when she was checked in and she was going through all of this stuff, that they used these kinds of tactics on her. I think I'm just gonna do like my go-to lip, which is Velvet Teddy by MAC. This goes with literally everything. And voila, we have a finished look. Oh my god, I always have like product on my hands. There's no way I could have covered every single thing that I read. It was just a lot of crazy details on how they manipulated people's minds and how they tried to do mind control. They claim that this could be used on enemies. So much crazy stuff goes on in the world that nothing really surprises me anymore. And I genuinely do not understand how this kind of stuff was legal. I understand that it's the CIA, but there's just certain things that are extremely inhumane. But yeah, that is all I have for you guys today. If you watched until the end, thank you so much. Please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. If you are not part of the family, you can join by clicking the subscribe button and turning on your notifications so that every time I post a new conspiracy video, you will be notified. Guys, I also wanted to say sorry for not uploading a video. It's kind of hard to upload twice a week when a lot of the ideas I had for like YouTube videos, I can't really do those things because I'm in quarantine, like self-quarantine. I'm just self-isolating and social distancing. And there's also a lot of stuff that I was going to order online, and just everything seems to be put on a pause with everything going on. Thank you guys for being so patient with me. I love every single one of you, and I will see you all in my next video. Take care.